or hopefully the star, Chris Kelso. Good morning, everybody. We have a great show in store for you today. First, starting off, we have Mike Ratchford. He is with Safeguard, Texas' premier safeguard, actually. Mike, how you doing?
I'm well, thanks, Chris. How about yourself?
Doing very well, thank you. For all of those first-time listeners, let us know, if you don't mind, a little about who you are and what you do.
We are a company that specializes in helping companies get their uniqueness into motion, the uniqueness being what separates them from their competition, so that they can begin to separate themselves in the marketplace. So we do that through either printing services or promotional marketing products or marketing services.
You know, and that's sort of our subject today, is how you need to be interesting, different, bold, creative in today's relatively clustered business environment, you know, and the world to survive right there. And as you mentioned, you know, you do it through a lot of different mediums. You know, what do you have to do? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you know, when I was raised and I first started my business, Chris, you know, I kept hearing that cash is king. And you know, and cash is always going to be king in a business, making sure you have your cash. But as the social world has come about and as the dynamics of business has changed, there's now kind of a balancing part of that content is king. Okay?
Right.
And so, you know, now it's all about content. It's all about relationship. It's all about engaging. It's all about funnel management. You know, there's all kinds of things in the marketplace that people are hearing, but that's really all about the subject today. People want to be told a story. They want to know why you're different. They want to know why they should engage with you. They want to know, do you have a social conscience? You know, there's all kinds of things that they want to know. And so, you know, the traditional marketing that says, the traditional marketing things still work. It's human nature that we can touch it. But, you know, you've got to now have some kind of strategy to make yourself interesting and different for certain.
You know, and you're absolutely right. I mean, if I look at where I was when I was growing up, you know, 40 years ago and even 30 years ago, an advertisement would come on, you take a look at it and go, let me go call that company and get some more information. And nowadays, with the digital age, individuals want to know all that information up front before they engage with you. So as you're saying content, I totally understand it in the context of they want to know who they're dealing with and what your social activity is and what your, as you mentioned, your philosophy around giving back to the community, what you do, how you do it, how you make your products. I mean, you look at a company like Chipotle, to give them an example. I mean, everyone knows now that they put out there, you know, it's the healthy food, it's all natural, et cetera, et cetera. So you're right. It has to be bold. It has to be new. There has to be a conscience centered around it. But there also has to be sort of a balance, because then you have to also create that human touch and that human element to say, give me an opportunity. You know, how do we get engaged?
Well, and I think that becomes the challenge. And, you know, an awful lot of our clients are the small and the middle market. And so, you know, a lot of them don't have staff people that can drive that kind of conversation. So they're looking, you know, so the other element of business today is that, you know, the best way to reduce expense sometimes is to outsource stuff, you know, because it's a controllable expense. So, you know, there are a lot of companies out there looking to outsource that stuff to a vendor to help them do that stuff. That's kind of the niche that our company has fallen into, that sort of niche that says, hey, if you want to start doing some of this stuff, then, we can help you. There's a lot of other companies. It's not about us, but, you know, if I was listening to the radio show, you know, I would be engaging with the people that help me with marketing, saying, and as an owner of a company, you know, what are we doing to make ourselves interesting? You know,
right.
What are we doing to make ourselves different? So we step out from the competition. You know, if I'm in a services business and I advertise that I have the best price, the best service, and the best this, well, so does everybody else in that industry. So, you know, how are you separating yourself out? What makes you different?
Right.
And then, you know, how can you be bold? Again, I go with I love my Southwest analogy, but it's still one of the best ones is, you know, when Southwest came on the marketplace, they put all of their flight attendants, instead of staunchy uniforms, they put them in shorts.
Right.
Certainly was bold.
No, it absolutely was bold. You know, what they did was pretty easy. It was all the same planes. The staff, they actually made it look like a normal person, versus somebody who was different from one. And it was pretty interesting. The other thing, speaking of that, obviously your company does promotional products, full color printing. We talk about everything. One of the things I've seen change a lot that has been, it used to be everything was a squeezy ball, or a pen that has your name on it. I'm starting to see some promotional activities and products out there that truly are differentiating themselves, and individuals putting their name on it. They say, wow, I've never seen this before. I've never seen, and a lot of it's technology, gadgets, et cetera. What are you seeing promotional-wise that is having a big impact nowadays, especially in regards to promotional products?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's impacted promotional products is technology. It's the same thing's impacted business. So, a tremendous amount of promotional products now are driven by technology. One of the funnest ones that I found recently is that we have a fan, a cooling fan,
right,
that works off your cell phone.
Oh, wow.
So you can literally plug this fan into your cell phone. So if you're out, Houston's hot, that's where I live, and Houston's hot, you literally can plug this fan in and have this fan driving off your cell phone and keeping you cool at outdoor events or other kind of activities. So it's kind of a different item. It's fun, it's creative, people use them. So that's kind of an idea of a new one. And then we just released a whole new product, video is the hottest new thing in marketing today, so
right.
We just released a whole video product line where we literally can make sales presentations without sending a salesman.
See, and that is awesome right there because, number one, it reduces costs down. But more importantly, video, a lot of individuals are visual in our market. In fact, I was speaking to some individuals last night at an event I was at here in Houston, and one of the things we were talking about is how a lot of individuals are still, they have to write, they have to see it, they have to touch it, they have to feel it. They have that visual aspect of things. They can't just be told. They want to actually look at it. And that's what a video really is doing nowadays. They get to see the product, the person, the service, they get to see everything right there real time without having to have necessarily somebody there. And more importantly, at any given time, they can do so.
Well, and I just think it fits as the marketplace transitions and, younger people come into the marketplace, and when they're younger and now they're in their 30s and in positions of influence at companies, how you market to them is different than how you market to somebody that may be 50 or 55. So the traditional ways are beginning to shift. It works in both markets. So you got to be cognizant of that. You've got to recognize that it's a different marketplace sometimes. And I think that gets back to the part about the creative. You just can't say one size shoe fits everybody.
Right.
You got to have a kid's shoe, a woman's shoe, a tennis shoe, a running shoe, a dress shoe, a semi-dress shoe, a casual shoe, sandals. You got to be whatever.
And I would totally agree.
So it's just different. And if you don't know how to do that, then you just have to get somebody that can help you do it. And you're going to make mistakes. We made mistakes, and we still make mistakes. But you just react. So that's what testing comes about. Find some company that tests, and just make sure you're comfortable with somebody's doing something. But again, if I was listening to this, I would make that my report card. If I'm talking to people, I would be saying, okay, can that person make my company interesting? Can that person make my company different? Can that person make me stand out in that different kind of area? Can that company make me creative, in terms of creative? And, I had a company, I sold it, Chris, and the company color was yellow. We picked yellow, and we wore yellow dress shirts to all of our conventions, and all of our people wore yellow dress shirts. And everybody goes, yellow, that's such an odd color. And I went, yeah, it really is such an odd color. But, about 2 years later, no matter where our people were walking, people would go, oh, they work for the name of my company that I sold.
Because you're able to identify it that way,
that
absolutely.
Company, that color yellow became attached to our company.
No, and a lot of times it's about identifying and doing something like that. We are up against time in this segment. How can we reach you if you don't mind, Mike?
Well, they can reach me by going to our website, which is txpsg.com. That's txpsg.com, or they can call 800-WE-PRINT.
800-WE-PRINT or TXPSG. That is Mike Ratchford. Mike, thank you very much for being on board this morning.
Thanks, Chris.
For all those listening, stay tuned. We're going on a break, but we'll be right back.